The clock on the wall of Sunnyside Diner was greasy and skipped a second every minute, but to Maya it was the only thing that kept her moving. It was 6 a.m. The smell of burnt coffee and cheap floor cleaner filled the air. Maya wiped down the counter for the 10th time that morning. Her hands were red and chapped from the cold water and harsh soap. She was only 28, but when she looked in the cracked mirror in the staff bathroom, she saw a woman who looked 10 years older. Her eyes were heavy with a tiredness that sleep couldn't fix. In her apron pocket, she felt the weight of a folded piece of paper. She didn't need to look at it to know what it said. It was a final notice from the City General Hospital. Amount due: $42,000. Her 7-year-old daughter Lily was the light of her life. But Lily's heart was weak. She needed a specialized surgery that Maya's basic insurance refused to cover. Every tip Maya earned went into a jar labeled Lily's Brave Heart. After 2 years of double shifts, the jar only had $1,200. It felt like trying to fill the ocean with a teaspoon. The bell above the door jingled. "Table 4 is yours, Maya," grumbled Bill, the manager. Bill was a man who saw employees as machines. If they weren't clicking and whirring, he wanted to replace them. "And watch yourself today. We're behind on the overhead. I don't need any complaints." Maya plastered on her customer service smile, the one that didn't reach her eyes, and walked to table 4. Sitting there was a man everyone in the diner called Mr. Grump. His real name was Mr. Sterling, but no one ever used it. He was a man in his late 60s, always wearing a sharp, expensive-looking gray suit that seemed too nice for a place where the salt shakers were sticky. He sat perfectly straight, his face set in a permanent scowl. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," Maya said, her voice soft despite her aching back. "The usual today?" Mr. Sterling didn't look up from his newspaper. "The usual is a strong word, young lady. The usual here is mediocre coffee and a cold plate. I'll take the tomato soup. And for heaven's sake, make sure it's actually hot this time. I'm not paying to eat lukewarm gazpacho." "Of course, sir. I'll make sure the kitchen heats it up properly." Maya hurried to the kitchen. "Order up. Tomato soup for Mr. Sterling. Make it boiling, please." The cook, a sweaty man named Joe, rolled his eyes. "That guy again? Why does he even come here? He hates the food, he hates the atmosphere, and he never leaves you a dime. If I were you, I'd accidentally drop it in his lap. He's a customer, Joe." Maya sighed. "Maybe he's just lonely. Lonely people are sad, Maya. He's just mean." When the soup was ready, Maya carried it out with 2 hands, making sure not to spill a drop. She placed it carefully in front of him. Mr. Sterling took a spoon, dipped it in, and touched it to his lips. He immediately slammed the spoon down. "Is this a joke?" he barked. Several customers at the counter turned to look. "I asked for hot soup. This is barely steaming. Do you people have a stove back there, or are you just sitting the bowls in the sun?" "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me take it back." "Forget it," he snapped, waving her away like an annoying fly. "Just bring me a coffee, black, no sugar. Though I'm sure you'll find a way to mess that up too." Maya felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell him that her daughter was at home with a babysitter because she couldn't afford a nurse. She wanted to tell him that $42,000 stood between her child and a healthy life. She wanted to tell him that his cold soup was the smallest problem in the world. But she didn't. She took a breath, swallowed her pride, and said, "I'll get that right away, sir." As she walked to the coffee station, Bill, the manager, stepped in her path. He leaned in close, his breath smelling of stale cigars. "He's complaining again, Maya. That's 3 days in a row. You know the rules. If a regular customer isn't happy, I start looking at the person serving them. Don't let it happen again." Maya nodded, her heart racing. She couldn't lose this job. If she lost the diner, she lost the insurance. If she lost the insurance, Lily would have no chance at all. She poured the coffee, her hands shaking so hard the liquid splashed against the side of the ceramic mug. She was a mother on the edge, trying to hold it together for a world that didn't care. The shift ended at 4 p.m., but Maya's day was far from over. She walked the 6 blocks to her apartment, her feet throbbing inside her cheap sneakers. The building was old, with peeling paint and a hallway that always smelled like boiled cabbage. But inside 3B, she had created a sanctuary. "Mommy." A small, pale girl with big brown eyes looked up from her coloring book. Lily was sitting on the sofa, her chest rising and falling with a shallow, labored rhythm. She had a plastic tube tucked under her nose, connected to a small oxygen concentrator that hummed in the corner. "Hey, my brave girl," Maya whispered, kneeling to hug her. She held Lily tight, breathing in the scent of baby shampoo and strawberry toothpaste. For a moment, the bills, the rude customers, and the greasy diner didn't exist. "Did you get lots of gold coins today?" Lily asked, her voice thin but hopeful. She called tips gold coins. Maya forced a cheerful smile, though her heart felt like it was being squeezed by pliers. "I got a few, baby. The jar is getting heavier every day. Soon, we're going to get you that magic fix for your heart, and then we're going to the zoo to see the lions. Remember?" "I remember," Lily said, her eyelids drooping. Even the excitement of seeing her mother was enough to exhaust her. Maya tucked Lily into bed an hour later. She sat at the small kitchen table, lit by a single flickering bulb. She counted her tips. $24. After paying the neighbor $10 to watch Lily, she was left with $14 to go toward a $42,000 surgery. She put her head in her hands and wept silently. The weight of the world felt like it was crushing her ribs. The next morning, the diner was packed. It was a rainy Tuesday and everyone was in a rush, their umbrellas dripping onto the floor, making the tiles dangerously slick. Maya was running between 6 tables, balancing heavy trays and refilling coffee. At 8:15 a.m., the bell jingled. Mr. Sterling walked in. He took his usual seat at table 4. He looked grumpier than usual, his face pale and his movements stiff. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," Maya said, arriving at his table with a fresh pot of coffee. "The tomato soup is already on the stove for you. I checked the temperature myself. Is that supposed to be a favor?" He snapped, not looking up. "It's your job. And this table is sticky. Do you even own a rag or do you just wait for the flies to clean it up?" Maya's face flushed. She grabbed a towel and wiped the spot he was pointing at. "I'm sorry, sir. It's been a very busy morning. The world doesn't care if you're busy, young lady. The world cares if things are done right. Now where is my soup?" 10 minutes later, Maya brought the bowl out. She was exhausted. She had stayed up half the night checking Lily's breathing and she hadn't eaten since yesterday. As she set the bowl down, her foot slipped on a patch of water from a customer's umbrella. She stumbled. A few drops of the red soup splashed onto the sleeve of Mr. Sterling's expensive gray suit. The diner went dead silent. Mr. Sterling stood up so fast his chair screeched against the floor. He looked down at the red stain on his cuff with a look of pure disgust. "Look at this," he shouted. "This suit costs more than you make in a year. You clumsy, incompetent girl." "I am so sorry, sir. Let me get some club soda, it'll come right out." Maya's voice was shaking. "Don't touch me," he barked, pulling his arm away. "You've been distracted and sloppy for weeks. I don't know what your problem is, but I shouldn't have to suffer for it. Where's the manager?" Bill was already there. He had been watching from the cash register like a hawk. "Is there a problem, Mr. Sterling?" Bill asked, his voice oily and fake. "Your staff is a disaster, Bill. She's spilled food on me, the service is slow, and, frankly, her attitude is depressing. I come here for a meal, not to watch a waitress mope around like she's carrying the cross." Bill turned to Maya. His eyes were cold. "Go to the back, Maya. Now." Maya retreated to the kitchen, her eyes stinging with tears. She stood by the industrial sink, her chest heaving. She heard Bill apologizing to Mr. Sterling, offering him a free meal and promising to handle the situation. A few minutes later, Bill walked into the kitchen. "That's it, Maya," he said, pointing a finger at her. "I told you yesterday. One more complaint, and you're gone. Mr. Sterling is a regular. He's a man of status. You're replaceable. Hand over your apron." "Bill, please," Maya begged, her voice cracking. "My daughter, she has surgery scheduled. I can't lose my insurance. I'll work double shifts for free." "I'll apologize to him again. Please, don't do this." "Not my problem," Bill said, looking at his fingernails. "Maybe if you spent less time worrying about your kid and more time worrying about the soup, you'd still have a job. Get out." Maya took off her apron. Her hands were trembling so much she could barely untie the knot. She felt like she was drowning. She walked out of the kitchen, through the dining room, past the customers who were staring at her with a mix of pity and awkwardness. She passed table 4. Mr. Sterling was sitting there, calmly sipping his coffee as if he hadn't just destroyed a woman's life. He didn't even look at her. She walked out into the rain, jobless, broke, and terrified. She had no idea how she was going to tell Lily that the gold coins had stopped coming. Wow, it's hard to watch, isn't it? Maya is doing her absolute best, and one rude customer just took away her only hope. It makes you wonder, how many people are we judging today without knowing the battles they are fighting at home? Before we see what happens when Maya goes back to that diner, I want to ask you, have you ever been treated unfairly by someone who had more power than you? How did you handle it? Drop a yes if you've been in Maya's shoes. I want to hear your stories in the comments. Now, keep watching, because the biggest twist is about to be revealed. Maya didn't go home. She couldn't face Lily yet. She sat on a bus bench in the rain for an hour, her head in her hands. But then, a spark of anger lit up inside her. Not the kind of anger that wants to hurt someone, but the kind that demands to be heard. She realized she had left her jacket at the diner. It was the only coat she owned, and she couldn't afford a new one. She stood up, wiped her eyes, and marched back toward the Sunnyside diner. When she walked in, the lunch rush was over. The diner was nearly empty. Bill was behind the counter, counting the midday take. "I told you to get out, Maya," Bill said, not looking up. "I'm here for my jacket, Bill. And my final pay. Your jacket is in the back. And your pay? After I deduct the cost of Mr. Sterling's ruined suit. You're lucky you don't owe me money." Maya felt the heat rise to her face. "You can't do that. That suit." "Actually," a voice interrupted from the corner. It was Mr. Sterling. He was still there, sitting at table 4. But he wasn't eating. He was writing something on a napkin with a heavy gold pen. He stood up and walked toward the counter. He looked older than he had that morning, his steps a bit slower. He placed the napkin face down on the counter and pushed it toward Maya. "I forgot to give you this," he said. His voice was no longer barking. It was quiet, low, almost gentle. Bill laughed. "Is that a list of complaints, sir? Don't worry, she's already fired." Mr. Sterling looked at Bill. It was a look of such deep, cutting disappointment that even Bill stopped talking. "You are a small man, Bill. You manage a diner, but you don't understand people." Then, Mr. Sterling turned to Maya. He reached out and touched her arm. "I apologize for the soup," he said. "It was always hot enough." Before Maya could say a word, he turned and walked out the door, his gray suit, now with a small red stain on the sleeve, disappearing into the mist. Maya looked at the napkin. "Go ahead, read it," Bill sneered. "I'm sure he called you a loser one last time." Maya flipped the napkin over. It wasn't a note. Clipped to the back of the napkin was a piece of paper with a hospital seal. Maya's eyes scanned the document. Patient, Lily Evans. Procedure, cardiac reconstructive surgery. Status, paid in full. Underneath the receipt, in elegant, shaky handwriting on the napkin, were these words. "Dear Maya, I have watched you for 6 months. I have been rude. I have been cold. And I have been demanding. I wanted to see if your kindness was a mask or if it was your character. Even when I was at my worst, you remained professional. Even when your heart was breaking, you were patient. I am a retired chief of surgery. I have seen many hearts, most are physically broken, but many more are spiritually empty. Yours is the strongest I have encountered. Your daughter's surgery is tomorrow at 8 a.m. I will be the one performing it. See you in the morning. Dr. Arthur Sterling." The Sunnyside diner felt like a different world to Maya as she stood by the counter, clutching the napkin so hard her knuckles turned white. Bill, the manager, was staring at the hospital receipt with his mouth hanging open. He reached out to grab it, but Maya pulled it back sharply. Is that real?" Bill stuttered. "Dr. Arthur Sterling? The one the new hospital wing is named after? The guy with the foundation? He's not just a regular." "Bill," Maya said, her voice growing stronger with every second. "He's the man who just saved my daughter's life, something you were willing to let slip away over a splash of soup. Now, Maya," Bill said, his voice instantly switching to that oily, manipulative tone. "Let's not be hasty. I was just stressed. You know how it is. Why don't you put that apron back on? In fact, I'll give you a raise. 50 cents an hour. And you can take the weekend off. Maya looked at Bill. Really looked at him. She saw the grease on his tie and the emptiness in his promises. No, Bill. You didn't fire me because I was a bad waitress. You fired me because you thought I was nothing, and he was something. You treat people based on what they can do for you. Dr. Sterling treats people based on who they are when life is at its worst. She turned and walked out of the diner for the last time. She didn't feel the cold rain anymore. She felt a warmth in her chest that had been missing for years. The next morning, City General Hospital. The hospital smelled of ozone and hope. Maya sat in the surgical waiting room, her hands folded in her lap. She was wearing her best dress, a simple navy blue one she usually kept for church. The double doors opened, and a man walked out. He wasn't wearing a gray suit. He was in surgical scrubs, a blue cap covering his hair. He looked tired, but the scowl that had defined his face at the diner was gone. In its place was a look of profound peace. Dr. Sterling walked straight to Maya. She stood up, her heart hammering. "Doctor?" she whispered. He smiled, a real, genuine smile that transformed his face. He looked 10 years younger. "The surgery was a success, Maya. Lily is a fighter. Her heart is beating strong on its own now. She's in recovery and she's already asking if you brought any gold coins." Maya collapsed back into the chair, sobbing with relief. Dr. Sterling sat down next to her. He didn't mind the tears or the fact that she was clutching his arm. "I have to ask," Maya said, wiping her eyes. "Why? Why the act at the diner? Why be so difficult?" Dr. Sterling looked at his hands that had spent 40 years mending broken lives. "When you have as much money as I do, everyone is kind to you. They smile because they want a donation. They agree with you because they want a job. I lost my wife 5 years ago, and after she died, I realized I didn't know who my real friends were." He sighed, looking at the sterile white walls. "I started going to diners and cafes, pretending to be a bitter, lonely old man. I wanted to see who would still offer a smile when I gave them nothing but trouble. Most people snapped. Most people were cold. But you. Every morning, no matter how much I complained, you looked at me with empathy. I saw you struggling. I saw you tired. And yet, you never took it out on me." He reached into his pocket and handed her a small business card. "I'm not just performing the surgery, Maya. My foundation is hiring a patient liaison, someone to help families navigate the stress of medical crises. It pays 4 times what the diner pays, and it comes with the best insurance in the city. I think you're overqualified." 6 months later, the Sunnyside diner was still the same. The clock still skipped a second, and the coffee was still mediocre. Bill was behind the counter, looking grumpier than ever. The bell jingled. A sleek black car had pulled up outside. A woman stepped in, looking radiant in a professional suit, holding the hand of a vibrant, laughing 7-year-old girl who was skipping toward the counter. It was Maya and Lily. "Table for 2, please," Maya said with a wink. Bill recognized her immediately. He straightened his tie, looking embarrassed. "Maya, good to see you. I heard about the new job. Glad things worked out." "They worked out because I didn't let your bitterness change my heart, Bill," Maya said kindly. They sat at table 4, the grumpy table. But today, it was filled with laughter. Lily sat where Dr. Sterling used to sit, coloring a picture of a lion. Maya looked out the window and saw Dr. Sterling pulling away in his car. He waved, and she waved back. She realized then that the test at the diner wasn't just for her. It was a lesson for everyone watching. Character is how you treat those who can do absolutely nothing for you. A person's true wealth is measured by how they treat the invisible people in the world. When you choose kindness over retaliation, you open doors you didn't even know existed. This story reminds us that we never know what someone else is going through. Maya stayed kind even when she was breaking, and it saved her daughter's life. Have you ever been tested by a difficult person, only to find out there was a reason behind it? Tell me your story in the comments. I love hearing how you choose kindness every day. If you believe that character matters more than status, hit that like button and share this video to spread a little more empathy today. And if you want to see more stories that find the hidden truth in every moment, hit subscribe. This is Moments and Meanings by Anne. Until next time, remember, every moment has a meaning, but not every truth is easy to face.